What's up guys, Nukin here, and I'm back with another Galaxy Heroes video, and we have Lith in the hot seat, so we're back with a roster review, and this is the series where I answer questions from my patrons, and I answer them specifically tailored to their roster. I also try to make them fairly general so anyone else watching can benefit as well. So in this roster review, we're going to go over the following. So for the following, we're mainly going to focus on territory wars, so TW defense and TW offense, and so I'm going to cover questions like how to have a epic defense on TW and how to keep up with the TW meta and not fall behind in other game modes without having to break the bank. And then we're also going to talk about if you're missing anything in your roster list. So basically if you're missing any Zetas, any mods, any characters that you forgot to grind, which will be very interesting because you have a very large roster approaching 3.7 million GP, and if I can find a few holes in your roster, then most likely there are holes in other people's rosters, so that'll be interesting to look over as well. So without further ado, let's get into this roster review. Hopefully this video is enjoyable and informative for everyone else watching. Lith, thanks for being a patron. Let's get right into it. Let's get started talking about territory wars, starting with TW defense. So if you want to have an epic D, then you need to basically realize that there are two ways to play TW, and the way that you play defense is different than the way that you play offense. On territory war offense, which we'll cover a little bit later in the video, you're trying to basically get as many banners as you can with the least amount of power and GP, and so you're basically spreading yourself thin, while on defense you're doing the complete opposite. So for TW defense, you're looking for heroes that have synergy with one another. You're also looking to make a team that is not vulnerable to cheese tactics and that the team is played well when under the control of the AI. You're looking to put your best geared characters on defense. So your gear 11 and gear 12 characters should be on TW defense, and they should have your fastest speed mods. So just like in Arena, how speed is king, you want to put your fastest mods on your TW defense. So now let's get focused here. So we have 4 team suggestions here. We have a Thrawn Empire team, a Kylo Ren First Order team, a Palpatine Sith team, and a Commander Luke Rebel team. So let's talk about Thrawn. So Thrawn is a good character in Arena, but as a leader, he can actually lead some of the Empire characters to hold well defensively. Part of this is because of the maneuverability that is able for the Empire characters to use when he's in the leadership position, but also because TW has its own meta. There are players that specifically do not use some of the counter teams against the Thrawn teams because they're saving it for a more difficult team. So because of this, the Thrawn teams are actually formidable on defense. This team will be extra strong because you have Death Trooper Zeta, so he's going to be generating a lot of turn meter whenever Director Krennic takes damage. If you want to tweak this team, you can potentially take out Stormtrooper and put in another support or attacker hero. Moving on to Kylo Ren and the First Order, they are an excellent defensive squad. You also have a Zeta Phasma, so if you need a little oomph in your First Order Zeta Phasma squad, you can take out one of these characters, but you'll definitely weaken the defense. I believe this is the strongest defensive lineup for TW, and First Order are great, of course, because they are pretty well played on defense from the AI, and there is a faction bonus in TW for the First Order. On to the next squad, we have a Zeta Palpatine Sith team. So you don't have Darth Traya quite yet, but I think you're quite close. So in the next TW cycle, you'll probably have her, but for sure the next one after that. So I wanted to put this here so it's available for you in the long term. A Zeta Palpatine Sith team is quite good on defense, and so you have that, and then you do have the rest of the Sith Triumvirate. Now it's going to take a little bit of investment because you're going to also want to Zeta some of these characters as well, but it's a very strong defensive team currently, and a Vader and Palpatine go hand in hand together, so we're going to put Vader on that squad. You can also replace one of these characters, potentially Vader, with another tank like Sith Trooper, and you can make the team a little bit more tanky as well if you desire to do that. Lastly, we have the Rebel Scumbags, and so if you're gonna put some Resistance Filth or Rebel Scum on defense, then you can use a Commander Luke Rebel team or a Jedi Training Ray Resistance squad. A lot of the Ray combinations hold well on defense, so you shouldn't have any trouble there. For Commander Luke, you're going to want to specifically put Chirrut and Baze together, and that'll help prevent them from being cheesed from some of the Night Sister tactics. Okay, so now on to TW offense. So we're actually going to go through these teams a little bit quicker than we went through the TW teams, and that's because there's more of them, but also because we were pressed for time. So I want to cover some of the other questions as well. So Resistance Filth, they're good on defense, they're good on offense. Sometimes you put them on defense, sometimes not. And so here is a resistance lineup that you can use. It's effective. You can actually sub out some of these heroes, like you don't need to put Chopper on the team, and so that's the resistance lineup. We have the Night Sister lineup. It's very good as well, and this team will basically take out a lot of teams, specifically in Resistance Filth team above it, and you can take out the Night Sister zombie if you choose to do so, put it on another team, and you can potentially spread out your Night Sisters a little bit more on offense. It just kind of depends on how strong the team you are facing. There's the General Kenobi Barriss combination, and if you put GK and Zeta Barriss with some attackers and another support or tank hero, that can take out a Rebel Scum team. And then you have the Rex lineup. You have a nice Wampa and a Rex lead with Wampa, and some support characters and tank characters can also take out another meta team, like maybe a Kylo Ren First Order squad, for example. But there are other options as well. Moving on, we have some more offensive teams. We have the Zeta Finn Resistance squad, and what I like to do is put a Scavenger Ray on this team. This means I have a character that does not do expose, and so for some particular matchups, like for example, if I want to take out a First Order team and I'm trying to kill one of the Kylos, it's going to be very difficult because they take reduced damage from expose, and so having a character that does not expose, like a Holdo or a Scavenger Ray, will help the resistance team take out the First Order team in one shot. And so some more offensive teams, we have the Phoenix lineup. Now sometimes people put these guys on defense, sometimes they're on offense, and if you're going to use Phoenix and you're using Chopper with the Jedi Training Ray squad, then you're down to just these 5 Phoenix characters until potentially maybe we'll get more Phoenix characters in the future, but that's what we got left. And then we're going to utilize some of the interesting Zetas that you have. You have a Zeta on Qui-Gon Jinn, you have a Zeta on Captain Phasma, you have a Zeta on Gar Saxon, so we have some more oomph to use on offense. Now the Gar Saxon team and the Commando on the team go hand in hand, and the Tarkin on the team is good because you don't have a Zeta on his leadership position. Some people do because the Executrix used to be the meta capital ship, so we can put Tarkin here, and then there are limited spots for other Empire characters that aren't kind of already being used, and so the Imperial Troopers, for example, are other Empire characters, but they kind of have their own thing. In fact, I didn't even list them here because they're kind of obvious, and I'm pretty sure you know about them. A General Veer's Imperial Trooper team will do quite well. So we're going to put the Probe Droid and the TIE Fighter Pilot here, and so the TIE Fighter Pilot, although it is a little bit counterintuitive because his foresight is going to dodge the attacks, and then so if he dodges, he's not really counterattacking, but a lot of people actually focus the TIE Fighter Pilot anyways, so there will be a decent amount of counterattacking coming from the TIE Fighter Pilot. And then the Imperial Probe Droid has a expose on his basic attack, so exposing a lot might be potentially good against some teams. And of course, you gotta kind of want to explode him on some enemies. Sometimes people run a Zeta Maul on defense, and some of the Sith characters like the Sith Assassin and the Sith Trooper if he's Omega, do damage straight to the health, so you can actually activate the Imperial Imperial Probe Droid more easier that way. And then we have the Captain Phasma First Order Squad, and so this is utilizing some of the remaining First Order characters. Hopefully we get some more Last Jedi First Order characters to round off the rest of this team, but for now, basically this team revolves around hoping that the First Order TIE Fighter pilot is called to assist a bunch, and then you can also call him to assist as well from the SF TIE Fighter pilot. And then the Geonosian soldier has an assist attack, and you kind of need a tank, so we're going to put Stormtrooper Han in there. And so basically we're trying to generate a bunch of assist attacks and turn meter. And then we talked about earlier, you have a Zeta on a Qui-Gon Jinn, and utilizing some of your Jedi like Anakin and Herma Yoda and some of those other Jedi that you have remaining will do quite well as well. Didn't have enough time to cover them in this roster review video, but we can talk a little bit more about it later. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is talking about how to maintain effectiveness in TW without falling behind in other game modes. So TW is a very competitive mode, and it requires some of the most meta characters in the game to do very well. And so going forwards, if you're not going to be buying vaults of crystals, there needs to be a free-to-play way to maintain effectiveness in TW without breaking the bank. So I'm going to use Bosk here as an example because ironically, not only is he a newer character that's released, he's a pay-to-play character, he was actually just recently buffed specifically for TW. And so we're going to go through the thought process that I take before I invest my precious resources into some of the characters. So starting off, we want to take a look at arena viability because arena kind of closely resembles TW, and so bounty hunters in arena on defense are completely they're pretty bad. The contract system is unique, but it requires finesse play, and so on offense, yeah, you can do some things, but on offense in arena, the bounty hunters are still not exceptional, so that's not a good sign. But they did get a bonus in TW. Not only are bounty hunters, but they're also scoundrels, so they're actually getting 2 faction bonuses, and so Boss gets a critical chance bonus and a way to cleanse himself as well, and stacking critical damage on top of the rest of his bounty hunters. So that is a bonus, and so they're probably bad on defense, but maybe with those bonuses, those faction bonuses, they could do well on offense. So there might be some potential there, and so the key now is to wait and see if there has been a demonstration of Bosk and the bounty hunters crushing it in TW. So you don't want to be the guinea pig. You want a whale or a kraken, a bounty hunter lover, a Bosk lover to go in and showcase that they are more than just viable, that they are above average, or that they can crush it. Let's assume that they crush it, which we are unsure if they are going to at this moment in time, but let's assume that they do. Then you want to go through the other game modes. Are they pilots? Are they good in the Sith raid? Are they good in TB? And then you want to go another level deeper and go, can I even hit the Sith raid? Or do I need another phase 2 team that's very strong? Or do I need assistance in territory battles? And if I do need assistance in territory battles, does it really make that much of a difference? And you got to ask yourself questions like that. And if you're Lith, you probably already know the answers to that. And if you're anyone else watching, then that's kind of the thought process that you take. Now we're going to quickly answer the last question about, is there anything missing from this roster that is very important or key? And the answer is a quick no. This roster is very good, and you can do practically anything that you want in the game at a very high level, and so nothing really super important is missing. Now, can we improve this roster? The answer is a yes, and so this game is fun because we're constantly improving our roster and doing better and better, and so I do have some suggestions to improve their roster. So I have some Zeta recommendations. So in preparation for your Traya Sith Triumvirate team, you're going to want to put a Zeta on Nihilus and Scion. You do not have Zetas on them right now. You want to Zeta their uniques and save some Zetas so you have some for Traya as well. You want to do her unique first, and then if you want to run her as a leader, but not a lot of people are currently, she has a Zeta on her leadership ability. And then on top of that, you have a 6-star Hermit Yoda. I would keep working on Hermit Yoda and get his very last star. He's useful in a lot of teams, and putting a Zeta on his strength flows from the Force is an idea as well. And so you do have a Jedi Qui-Gon Jinn, and he can fit into that sort of a Jedi team, but he's so good that he can fit on a lot of teams as well. On top of mods, you have a lot of mods on SwGoH. It's up to, I believe, almost like 900 mods or something, but you only have like 30 offense mods, so a little bit short on the offense mods. And if you really want to be picky when it comes to speed secondaries, you have one mod over 20 speed. I do as well, but you can always improve, and basically everyone can try and shoot for having another 20 speed secondary mod, and the only way to do that is to play, right? So you got to always be rolling the speeds, the mods with speed secondaries. So those are some suggestions. So a little bit of offense mod grinding, a little bit of speed secondary mod grinding, a little bit of Zeta suggestions, and saving some Zetas for the unlock of Darth Traya. So that concludes the roster review. So thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully it was helpful to you guys. I try to make it general for everyone. Lith, continue to be awesome. Thanks for being a patron and supporting me. It means a lot. And I will see everyone in my next video. Cheers.
Killers understand it.